When a title has to be created for you to articulate your grace, it reveals how special you are. That is the story of Odelua, the one who writes for the world, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Today, I'll be talking about 5 lessons from the life of Chimamanda that I have feasted on and I thought to share with you, and this experience will be for about 8 minutes, so just chill with me, hang in there as we dive into today's conversation. The first lesson I've seen and learned from Chimamanda is how to embrace your full identity. Chimamanda is the epitome of authenticity. Like, just show up your full self. Show up your full self. You have a lot to lose trying to reduce your voice, reduce your grace, reduce who you really are, and pretend not to be who you are. Like, show up. And in your showing up, ensure that you're showing up as your authentic self. It shows in how she writes. When you read her fiction, like, sometimes I'm reading it and then I have to stop and I'm saying to myself, Lord have mercy, how does she think? Like, what exactly is in her brain? Like, how did you string these words? Like, how are you articulating this? Like, what the heck? What did you just write? Like, what did I just read? You were writing like you're creating a movie. Like, Lord, there are writers and there is Chimamanda. She's in a class of her own. The one who writes for the world is the epitome of self-awareness. She will tell you the truth in love. Whatever you want to do with it, make a decision, but you are going to hear the truth. So that major lesson, you have to show up as your authentic self. Stop auditioning to be liked, likability, trying to be chosen, to be preferred. Just choose yourself. Choose yourself. That's the most important thing. The second lesson is you need to learn how to be a bullshit detector. Chimamanda is going to call and talk about who needs to be spoken about. Like, she's the mother of all comebacks. Like, when she speaks, we all hear. Even if you pretend not to hear, you heard it. You are just denying that you have some auditory capacity. When she speaks, we hear. Bullshit detector, the ability to read in between the lines, the ability to understand that not everybody is going to be on your side, but as long as you are on your side and people who love you, care about you, you're good to go. So you need to learn how to be a bullshit detector. The third one is we need to acknowledge the messiness of life. One thing I like about her is her vulnerability. Like, when she's talking about her mother, her father, how she related with her mother and her father, and sometimes how she gave more grace to her father than her mother. But now that she's growing and she's grown, she's seeing the complexity of life. So she's talking about the fact that life is just not black and white. The gray areas of life exist. She talks about love. She talks about breakup. She talks about death. I read her book on grief, and the messiness of life. Life is so imperfect because we're all imperfect and all of us live here anyway. So don't just be happy when the black and white areas of life show up in your life, when what you pray about comes to pass, or as you say it. But sometimes when the gray areas of life show up, you need to understand that you still need to be grateful. Gratitude helps your altitude. So the messiness of life, it also comes with you understanding empathy and compassion, because once you see how imperfect life is, you reduce that desire to be judgmental and to be rigid. It helps you be a little more flexible and to see life in a particular way, and to understand that what is easy for you to do may not be easy to do. The fact that it's easy for you to do does not mean that it's easy to do. So the ability to acknowledge the messiness of life. The fourth one that I've learned from Chimamanda is the ability to balance self-doubt and self-belief. I remember reading I can't wait for her book anyway, Dream Count, but I remember reading something, I think in The Guardian, and she was saying that 10 years ago when she wrote her one of her fictions, that after that she wanted to write, but she wasn't in that space, and she had several thoughts, thoughts like, oh, would I be able to do this again, and how often or how soon, all of those things. And we all experience those moments where we are trying so hard to achieve equilibrium, and we're trying so hard to also remain open, embrace growth, development, a whole lot of things going on at the same time. She's very truthful with her emotions, and she's very expressive. Like, I was reading the interview and she said something about, oh, she doesn't watch a particular she's really not a TV person because the sex there is unrealistic, this catering the table, whatever. Like, I remember chuckling and laughing, and I'm like, you are a handful. But that's the truth. That's somebody who has come into her own and her fullness, and is not apologetic about living life on her terms. Living life on her terms. Finally, is to recognize the vulnerability in fame. I specifically like her private life, where you only know what she wants you to know and at the time that she wants you to know it. And he also gives us some perspective about how we should mind our business, where leave people to live their lives. Like, we're not entitled to people's lives. We're not entitled to knowing what we shouldn't know. What they share with us is fine. If they choose not to share it, we should mind our business and we should allow people live. And it's the same way we have to live our lives. We can't be living our lives with the mantra, what will people say? What will people say? What will people say? Have you ever thought about yourself, what will I say? Like, what exactly will I say? Have you ever said to yourself, I'm having a meeting with myself to teach myself how to prioritize myself, because my voice has to be the highest voice after the voice of God? Those are the conversations we should be having with ourselves. So if you're going to learn something and so many things about Odelua, it is the fact that you need to show up in the world. You need to understand that so many people will come for you or come after you or whatever that is, but you need to be able to choose yourself and live unapologetically and be able to say that this is my life, I am designing my life, and I'm living life on my terms. I like how she only shows up when she has to show up, and she leaves when she has to leave. She speaks only when she has to speak. Once Odelua speaks, we hear it 3 times. Like, her book is about a comma, and some of us know that we're eating good in March. You should get a copy of Dream Count. We're eating good in March, and she's one person that I really admire, and I know that you admire her too, and that's why you're watching. So thank you so much for watching. I'll come your way again. I'll see you pretty soon. Thank you so much for being here. I care about you. Remember to subscribe and keep being yourself. Keep showing up the way you should show up in the world. I love you.